Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are about to start our last round of the evening for our week 4 of the PSS5. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined in the booth by none other than Michael Arnold. How's it going, Mike?
It's going well. It's
Yeah.
going well. I dodged a bullet tonight,
Yeah,
so
it's only delayed. I guess it's
it's true.
you still have to face that bullet later. We're
Yeah.
referring to your match between Rich Shea. So Rich is unfortunately feeling ill. So Rich, get better soon. We will figure out a time that you guys can play your match, and we will figure out a way that will get broadcasted out to everybody. But for now, we're just going to skip ahead and have our Lanny versus Tom Metelsky. So this is a match that should be a lot of fun, especially just I feel like the way that the two of these relationships have developed.
hmm
I think these players, I don't think they knew each other outside of Premodern, and I think they've become like pretty close friends, just discussing things and playing together in LobsterCon and those kind of things. So I think it's a friendly rivalry, and I'm excited to see kind of how it plays out. So.
Yeah, both of them are East Coasters, in the same general area, and both of them very active in the MTGO leagues.
Mhm.
You will see them as regulars. I think Tom has probably been like the most like long-standing active member for Moto, and Lanny has definitely come on strong this last year.
Okay.
He's really dived deep into the format.
Let's take a look at their available decks. So we've reset, so all three decks are available. Lanny has the Grotog, Replenish, and the Burning Parfait, while Tom has the Blue-White Stifle Knot, Blue-White Landstill, and the Rock. Do you want to make a prediction, or do you just want to jump down to what they're playing?
All right, I'm going to say that Lanny will go with Grotog for this, and let's see, Tom here. I'd be very tempted to play Landstill in Tom's shoes, just because there's a good parfait matchup and pretty solid against replenish as well. I'm going to say I'm going to say Tom goes for Landstill, but if not, I also want to say he'd bring the rock, but I'll go with Grotog versus Landstill.
Okay. So first up, we are going to see what Lanny's playing. He is playing the Burning Parfait list. So
Okay.
Lanny's running it back, and again, if you're newer to the series or if you're watching late, Lantex has been banned. We are continuing our series with the decks that the players had submitted. So this is kind of a last hurrah for Lantex. The metagame will be slightly different, but we figured we'll showcase the decks that the players had submitted. Two players have brought Lantex. So Lanny gets to play Lantex a little bit longer. Um,
hmm
but yeah, so I guess this is, if we take a pretty traditional shell of the Oath Parfait, the big twist is having the card Burning Wish, which gives you access to your sideboard in game one and gives it some different dimensions that it wouldn't normally have, like Devastating Dreams, or just having like an extra copy of like Innocent Blood, a way to like deal with an early Dreadnought or something, and then obviously like you can get Armageddon to blow up all the lands if you have the positional advantage. So a lot of different flexibility points. And then like some kind of Lanny isms that we've seen. So like the one mana leak, I think, is something that he played at LobsterCon. And then I think there's a main deck annul, if I could see my image, if that's correct. But so
hmm
uh, pretty traditional idea with a few little tweaks. So we'll see if those ever come into play or how they change up the matchup. So and then we'll look at what Tom is playing. He's playing the Rock, and um,
Okay.
Tom wanted to make it very clear he's playing Lanny Rock against Lanny. That was very on flavor that he wanted to make sure that everyone know. And so yeah, this is kind of the standard the Rock list that we've seen a lot after Lanny uh, basically put Phyrexian Rager in, and the mana base is a little bit different, but this is kind of what we've seen a lot of people play for the Rock. And so, inspired by Lanny, Tom has picked it up and liked it. He's done well, and he's going to play tonight against its creator. So, but beyond that, I mean, Pernicious Deed, I think, is like the key card, and usually the card that we talk about, like equalizing for Parfait, that Parfait has to put so many permanents into play, like Lantax, Scroll Rack, and Oath of Druids or whatnot. And when all those can be swept up with one Pernicious Deed, it gives the Rock a way to kind of come back from board states that a lot of decks wouldn't be able to. And so
And
It'll be
also the
interesting to
fact
see
that,
how it goes.
yeah, he's running a full 4 therapy, 4 duress,
Hmm.
which usually in the rock you just see a total of 6 between those two cards, and he's running a full 8.
Okay.
That's really going to be helpful.
All right. I'm ready to jump down the match. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
All right.
They've both mulliganed to 6. I'll let them know they're good to go.
Okay. So, yes, both players mulligan. Lanny has won the die roll. He'll be starting things off with a plains, and then passing it back to Tom.
Jared in chat says that he thinks that rock can be pretty good against Parfait, and I agree. I think it's one of the decks which was a good challenger against Parfait.
Yeah, I'm always one to root for the rock. So, but right, Tom is he really tanking on this first turn play, or is
Maybe he didn't see the message,
well? I mean, like
or
Lanny
I
should
would
know.
assume yeah.
They should know. I would say like Lanny played his land, so yeah, they know. They should know. So I was say I'm like I don't know if this is some like deep dive in terms of what he's got on turn one, or if he's like debating not playing a land. But I guess without a land tax, that doesn't really make any sense to me. So
Yeah, he's
right,
just tanking on the therapy.
yeah, I guess without a turn one land tax, I might. I think you either name Scroll Rack, Oath of Druids, or maybe Enlightened Tutor. Um,
All right.
So it looks like none of those cards were named. Well, maybe Enlightened Tutor was, but no
I'll see
hit
if
from the Cabal Therapy.
there's an Oath of Druids,
Mm-hmm.
which really against the rock, it's not like the end all be all like it is against a lot of other creature based decks because you've got the treetop villages, and of course you can just slow play it, until you actually deed it away. But
Certainly, like disrupts their game plan. There's usually some amount of creatures that like we talk about Phyrexian Ranger in the faith of Oath of Druids. It's not really something that you want to curve out and just play. So, but yes, they do have enough answers to the Oath, but it could take a while to find.
cycling that Baron right there, and Tom untaps into his third turn. But yeah, Tom still has the therapy in his graveyard, so any value creature that he gets, whether that be Rager, Wall Blossoms, anything like that, that's still perfectly castable for Tom at this point. But we
Right.
are going to see call, and I am assuming that's going to be flashbacked immediately.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll take a moment just to show everyone the cool token, and then I'll get a flashback.
Absolutely. I do not have tokens that cool. Tom's token game is something else.
I'll say I technically don't. I guess I printed out ones that look very similar, but I don't have authentic ones. So
I like using War Mammoths for my
Mhm.
elephant tokens. You can cross out the
That's a good
trample
one.
and whatever. Some amazing ABU art. Unlike Lanny Swords to Plowshares here, at least Lanny does have retro frames and all, but it's hard to beat the OG Swords to Plowshares, and I think the Ice Age one is also very beautiful.
Yep. All right, so Lanny is putting down the scroll rack. I guess like it is kind of interesting in the spot. Like if Lanny isn't able to take advantage of the scroll rack, there's a potential of a pernicious deed coming down, which like Tom already wants to cast with just the Oath of Druids. So it'll be interesting to see like how many activations Lanny gets out of this scroll rack if Tom is like already on the game plan of resolving a pernicious deed.
And there it is.
Okay.
And we'll see a tranquil thicket. That's the green cycle land,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
All right.
I thought you were about to say tranquil domain.
Not quite. That's coming in the sideboard for sure, though.
I'm trying to think, like, at this point, what is the least played onslaught cycling land? Because, I mean, for a while, it was just, like, the red-white ones, because, like, people would just play it in, like, a red-white Rifter deck. And now like the rock plays this a lot, and like the blue one might be the I have seen it in some
Probably.
control lists, but
Yeah, I think Tide Control would run like one. It's not Lonely Sandbar. Lonely Sandbar's Saga, I believe.
Lonely Sandbar is the onslaught one.
Oh, it
The
is. Okay.
remote isle is the
Yep.
yep. All right. So Lanny gets to untap. He has an enlightened tutor, and with Tom tapped out, this is a time to get seal cleansing.
Yep.
And the undiscovered paradise will allow him to play that. So if Tom doesn't have like a backup, I mean, I guess he was just worried about the activations of the scroll rack, or he felt like that he had seen Lanny's hand like not that long ago, that it's unlikely that he has an answer, because like this is pretty painful, I think, for Tom to lose that pernicious deed without taking out the oath or the scroll rack.
All right, so he's gonna lead on to rest, get some information. I think Tom's probably best play here is if he has like a treetop village, but I think if he had one, he would have played it a while ago. And we see a blessing and a burning wish. I think I'm taking burning wish right here.
Yeah,
If I'm
Tom might be
confused.
taking like a gander over at the sideboard and be like, all right, what are your options again? Because it's like that is the most non-traditional part of the deck, and like I don't know, I can't remember exactly what Lanny has access to, but yeah, it looks like Burning Wish is the selection.
And he just passes right back. My guess is that Tom just has a fistful of creatures which he can't really play.
Mm-hmm.
Because he really needed that pernicious deed. And he needs to find another one as soon as possible, because the longer that the scroll rack stays on the table, the sooner that Lanny's going to find a land tax.
So chat has a question for you specifically, Mike. They said, you've been very vocal about the classic Rock versus Elves matchup. Wondering how you feel about facing Lanny Rock.
I've only faced it once against Mose Whitner. That was a few months ago. And I had some terrible draws. I lost that match. I'm naive. I think he won 2-0. But as far as like from an elf perspective, I'm pretty confident in facing the rock, no matter what the build might be. There's nothing main deck which I think really swings anything in rock's favor, but I have seen more engineered plagues being played in the rock, and with added discard you can strip like the naturalizes and that sort of thing. So that can certainly help it. I'd probably rather, if I was like a rock player, I wouldn't want to be playing like my natural order rock against elves. I think you're probably better going off with something like Lanny Rock. They just have a few more cantrips, a little bit ways to dig to find the important stuff to disrupt elves.
All right. So meanwhile, Lanny had cast a Guy's Blessing targeting the Annul, Enlightened Tutor, and Burning Wish, and then Tom had a Naturalize for the Oath of Druid. So this gives him the windows for him to resolve that Wall of Blossoms that he'd been waiting to deploy. So the creatures are out here. I guess there is a Cabal Therapy to follow up. So maybe this Wall of Blossoms not long for the world, but looks like Burning Wish and Undiscovered Paradise are the cards.
He's going to get the Burning Wish.
Mm-hmm.
Is there many better things to do with a Wall of Blossoms than flashback a Cabal Therapy?
I mean, sacking into Recurring Nightmare is one that's also up there that the Rock can do. So
it definitely is. But another Oath of Druids come down, so. And I might remind ladies and gentlemen that these rounds are untimed.
Yeah. Well, that will give the players that full availability to like really develop a game plan, because I mean, like, this is a situation where the Rock, while it doesn't have anything immediately to answer this position, has stuff in its deck, and especially when you combine it with discard spells, you can kind of disrupt what your opponent's doing, and so we'll see how things progress. Land tax might change things, though. I guess land tax with the combination of Tom having more lands and already having the scroll rack in play, this could give Lanny a lot of card advantage very quickly.
Yep. Then he passes right back, and we're gonna, see the tax man coming.
Yeah, he's here. He's here to collect, and collect he will. The full 3 lands are collected, and those might be exchanged for other cards thanks to the scroll rack.
And I've got to point out that Lanny's doing this right with unglued lands in his land tax deck. You know, it just helps find the needed land a little bit more faster when it stands out from the other cards in your deck. I know that you are a lover of unglued lands, Mike.
Yeah, that's one that I'm very particular fond of, so I do enjoy looking at them.
There will be no hating on unglued lands in chat tonight.
That's fine.
Not allowed. We will boot you.
Yeah. All right, so I mean, like, this is kind of like a defeating feeling, I think, for Tom, that he kind of had some exchanges and got to the point where he's like, all right, you have a scroll rack but only have 1 card in hand. I'm disrupting things, but as soon as that land tax comes down, that kind of just undoes like all the work that the rock has done, which is kind of a criticism that people have against the rock. Is, yeah, you can spend your time and your resources like disrupting your opponent, but if you're not applying pressure, which Tom has been able to do because of the Oath of Druids mainly, then they're just going to draw out of it eventually. Yeah, one Haunting Echoes, but yeah, that's not a main deck card for Tom. So,
yeah. But you know what is a card that I've thought about putting in Lanny Rock right here, which would certainly be useful right now, that is a Tainted Pact.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Withered Wretch, but which I guess is probably not very good in the face of an Oath of Druids, but I was just thinking on the mind track of a Haunting Echoes. So, but yeah, Tainted Pact. But then you can't play as many unglued lands.
It's true. You have to split them up with some of the snow-covered ones, but it's not as essential for the rock as it is for land tax. Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess the land count right now, Tom has 6 lands in play, so Lanny still has, which the land tax deck actually doesn't need that many lands to operate. But
no, it doesn't.
Knowing that Tom really can't get rid of his lands in the spot at least gives Lanny the luxury to do it, though I don't even know if he would want to take. It looks like he's still committing. I was gonna say with the Burning Wish, he does have some sideboard cards that are more expensive. Like Lanny has a Haunting Echoes of his own. Maybe it was that the reference of a Haunting Echoes, and they weren't even talking about from the Rock's perspective. They were probably talking about from the Burning Wish, because I didn't even realize that. So yeah, so at this point, I guess if you're casting Haunting Echoes on Tom, you're still left with a bunch of creatures. But yeah, that's what we do see. So
gonna take out the deed and the naturalize, and that's that would be quite devastating. Yeah, I don't think there'd be any way for Tom to be able to win at that point. Tom just hasn't been able to draw quite enough of what he needs. And I mean, Lanny's only just started taxing at this point. Like, how many tax activations has he had?
2.
Yeah, so it's only been the last couple turns, but Tom needed more than just one naturalize and one pernicious deed.
Yeah, Duress would have been a nice card in a lot of situations after someone burning wishes for a Haunting Echoes, but the scroll rack is able to tuck that one away so that it's safe from the Duress. Yeah, at this point, I think like Tom's deck becomes Treetop Villages and Ravenous Baloths and whatnot, and Lanny, I would have to imagine, is going to be able to keep those at bay if Tom opts to continue playing after this Haunting Echoes. I am kind of excited at the thought of resolving a Haunting Echoes over webcam.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if Tom is going to continue playing, but I always like those cumbersome cards. Like I always get excited when someone wants to portent an opponent on camera. But,
You and I were able to do a Jester's Cap earlier this year.
okay,
That
yeah.
was fun.
All right. So
What's more cumbersome? Is there anything more cumbersome than Haunting Echoes to do over camera? Because portent is
there,
kind of simple. I mean,
I'm trying
it's
to think if there's
not.
a card that like in some ways what's it called? It's an onslaught card. It's like three black black, and they like put all their cards from their hand, and then you like um head games. I think it is. I don't. That one doesn't get played, but I mean like that
It's a
one. That
Goblin
one might
game.
be because you have to because you search cards out of the deck, and you don't want your opponent to know. That one has to be more cumbersome over
Yeah.
webcam. So like I don't know how you would do that one.
Or like Thieves Auction, something like that.
Okay.
Where you're just like exchanging
Oh
permanents like
yeah,
left and
yeah.
right. It's not even like Gilded Drake can be difficult enough like over webcam because you
Mhm.
totally forget that you have the Gilded Drake now. Um, you have to represent it with something else,
Yep.
and that I assume is Tom scooping right there.
Yep. So the haunting echoes is waiting for Lanny after he untaps thanks to the scroll rack, protected from the duress, and that's enough for Tom for him to pack things up. So we'll be moving on to sideboard games. Let's take a look at the decks to see what our players have available. Okay, so looking at the rock, there is Vendetta, Crumble, Diabolic Edict, one Tranquil Domain, three Naturalize, a Dust Bowl, four Engineered Plague, two Haunting Echoes, and a Recurring Nightmare. So the Tranquil Domain, Naturalize, Haunting Echoes, those are the cards. I could see the Crumble coming in for Mox Diamond and Scroll Rack as well. Uh, so
Sure.
there's a this is a pretty big transformation. I think you're. What cards are you taking out?
Call of the Herd is probably medium.
Mm-hmm. I say
You know,
anytime you have a bonus of like Ravenous Baloth is like the ideal creature because like it hits hard and then also has that availability to like if an Oath of Druids comes down that you like don't want them to trigger it, you can sack it. Uh,
Smother and Vendettas are the obvious cuts.
mhm.
Though you might keep in Call of the Herds before Wall Blossoms,
Okay,
because you don't need Wall that much.
I would say Wall ties a little bit better with Cobalt Therapy. But
Hmm.
yeah, I can understand how a Wall of Blossoms would rot in your hand. Though I guess I will say like when you're bringing in more naturalizes or tranquil domain effects, then maybe it's just like better to have pressure because you're expecting to answer a card like Oath of Druids, and then like
Hmm.
being able to clock Lanny in that meantime. So I think more I think about it, I'm leaning more towards taking out the Wall of Blossoms and leaving all the hurt in. So though I mean maybe you cut Phyrexian Ranger instead of Wall of Blossoms. I don't know, just because it costs one more mana. But a 2/2 body might be better than the 0/4. Yeah, so Tom definitely improves, I think, from the sideboard. Let's take a look at Lanny. So Lanny has the Burning Wishes, so I think a number of these cards are going to be staying in the sideboard. There is an Innocent Blood, a Duress, a Devastating Dreams, a Hull Breach, Steel Cleansing, Pyroclasm, Last Rites, Armageddon, Replenish, Deep Analysis, Spontaneous Generation, Haunting Echoes, Achroma, Angel of Wrath, Iridescent Angel, and Decree of Annihilation. So only two of those are non-sorceries, Achroma and the Iridescent Angel. Then I think the rest are all options that Lanny could bring in. And I mean, I guess let's try and look if there are underperformers. I mean, Zurin Orb isn't necessarily a card you need in this matchup, but like this still getting Zurin Orb for like the land tax interactions. Engineered Plague not at its best. But the question
Yeah, you
is
don't
like,
need that.
okay, what card do you want to bring in? Deep Analysis, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
You probably take out or put in another Seal Cleansing. Um, just so it's another option to naturally have because like the bad cards that you're looking at, yeah, Engineer Plague, not great. Um, Tormod's Crypt, again, probably not where you want to be. And you might swap out one or two of your standard Oath creatures and bring in a Chroma or Iridescent Angel, because that's very difficult for the rock to be able to deal with.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, like we talked about how like the removal spells like Diabolic Edict wouldn't be something that you want, and I don't know if Tom is just planning to keep the oath from triggering, period. But potentially you could be like, all right, you can trigger your oath. I'm just gonna have a Diabolic Edict ready, and just kind of use that as like a tempo play. I don't know if that's something that Tom is planning on doing, but it is a potential. All right. Let's head back down to the match. So I think Tom's deck does get better than Lanny's does, but will it be enough to win 2 games? I guess I need to update the score here as Lanny has taken the first game. All right, so now both players have access to Haunting Echoes, so maybe Tom is going to return the favor that we saw from game 1. But in the meantime, I guess it'll be interesting to see like how aggressive Tom gets, especially if he doesn't see the hand from Lanny. Is he willing to commit multiple creatures with the threat of Oath of Druids coming down? Okay, so looks like players are resolving their mulligans. Is it looks like he's keeping. I guess just from his. Okay, yep. Looks like we're kicking things off. Tom's gonna start things off with a Cabal Therapy. Are you just looking to name land tax? Yeah, that.
Yep.
Yes, that looks like that is the name. We do see the Ancestors Chosen that is still in hand. Beyond that, Lanny does have a Mox Diamond and an Oath Druid, so potentially we could see a turn 1 Oath. Also, I mean, like we have the Mana Leak that's in Lanny's hand, so that could be an option. Or you could just choose not to play the Mox Diamond in this spot, and you could kind of play things slower. So it looks like Lanny goes for the Turbo Oath, discarding the Gemstone Mine to the Mox Diamond.
I wonder if like the one of Mana Leak, if that was something that Lanny just had in his list, or if he like threw it in for the PSS. Like
I think he had it in his Lobstercon list.
Type of. Okay.
So I think it was a dimension that he just liked having access to. So we do see, the turn 2 Tranquil Domain, just taking out the Oath. So the interesting thing there is, I wonder if that's a card that Tom had in his opening hand. Like, because if you had Tranquil Domain, like I don't know if you put as much priority in naming land tax with your Cabal Therapy.
That makes sense.
All right, that is a Torment Script that Lanny has played, and Tom will cycle the Corrosion Tusker. So
I don't think I've been able to. I might have before, but I'm not sure if I have been able to cycle a Corrosion Tusker in Premodern yet.
I don't end up putting it in my deck very often. It is a card I'm very fond of. I have a lot of like nostalgia. I started playing around Onslaught, and I've always liked it. I have it in a lot of the cubes that I play. It just, to me, it just always seems too clunky. I don't know. But I mean, this is certainly a matchup where you do have like luxury of time a lot of, and often in a lot of scenarios. But yeah. So the green divination. Everyone, right, it sounds like everyone's on the team Corrosion Tusker. So Tom is going to deploy a Ravenous Baloth. So a little bit of pressure that we'll see if Tom's able to clock Lanny and kind of lower his life total, and then put him in positions that like he's able to close out a game with like a Treetop Village or something. And here's kind of the situation where we've seen Tom's done a good job of answering the key cards from Lanny. He's destroyed a land tax and then an Oath of Druids, and Lanny's hand is a little bit clunky. We see that the Ancestors chosen, and the Mana Leak isn't as effective since the Ravenous Bailout came down when Lanny didn't have that option. Oh, maybe he did.
Yeah.
Did Lanny just choose not to Mana Leak the Ravenous Bailout? I didn't even notice if he had. I think he did have mana up. So Swords of Plowshares is the answer for the Bailoth, and Tom will gain 4 life by sacking the Bailoth. Right, we do have a duress.
Here's a duress.
And Tom has the option to pay for Mana Leak, so Lanny will not use that. And we do see a Oath of Druids. So, I mean, barring you using a Pernicious Deed. Okay, we see the Mana Leak taken.
Yeah.
And then a Phyrexian
Rager.
Rager. That must be an indication that
And-
Tom has a
He has
naturalized.
a therapy in
Oh,
yeah, he still has
okay,
a therapy in
okay.
his graveyard.
Well, I mean, Lanny had the option of responding to the trigger of the Phyrexian Ranger with the Tormod's Crypt and denying that option. So, I guess if he had a backup one, then that still would have been an option. But that would have been a cute little interaction, a timing thing. So, all right, the Ragers raging on.
I'm so glad that Rager is, showing up in, these random pre-modern decks.
I feel like it fills that same space as that Corrosion Tusker. Is like a card I enjoyed, and I cube with it a lot, but I guess I'm still not.
It's been like a cube staple, even like vintage cube, for years. But
it's just
I
very
don't remember
serviceable.
getting any play.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like any play back in the day. And so it's interesting as those, kind of Magic Theory and other things develop. That a Gray Ogre is all right if you're able to draw a card off of it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, especially when you have just games that are kind of at parity and go for a lot, then the value of having a 2/2 that replaces itself is really good.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of replacing itself, we're going to see a Wall Blossoms come out. And a Call to Herd. So Tom has a real clock now. We're going to be swinging in for 5, and then, 2 turns from now we'll be swinging for 8. All right, and Lanny does take this chance to to activate the Tormod's Crypt, denying the extra elephant. Do you remember there was a second place Pro Tour deck from way back in the day, Dembo Drop?
Oh yeah, weird intuition for like three Call the Herds.
Yeah. Call the Herd is another card which I'm glad is found a place in pre-modern. I played it in Legion Landloss or Green Ponza, and I've really enjoyed it there. But yeah, when I got back into Magic and I saw that they were like a 25-cent card, I was like, oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, going back to my Cube references, I remember one of my first iterations of Cube, like that was like one of the top 5 cards, and it was like the best green card, and it was just something like value was just really important, and being able to make 2/3/3s on curve was really good. Since then, my Cube has increased in power, and Call the Herd has relatively decreased in power. So
yeah, well, we're talking about like pre-modern cubes. So we played John Rose, it was old frame, so he goes back to alpha, but no power. We played that at our first California meetup last October, and I picked one to Call the Herd. Saw it and just like, yeah, got to snag this baby. All right, so there's a Cabal Therapy, and Lanny's gonna scoop it up.
All right, so the creatures plus just removing the key cards was enough for Tom to just win the old-fashioned way. We didn't see any Haunting Echoes returned, so we'll go to a game 3 and see who's going to win this match.
Yeah, these mid-range decks can be quite solid against Parfait.
Yeah, I mean they like Tom certainly has a lot of interactive pieces. All the hand disruption combined with like multiple naturalizes, tranquil domain, are all a very good plan.
And they don't have to worry about dealing damage right away. Their decks, built to be able to be patient and just kind of maneuver into an advantage position and then close it out. Whereas the aggro decks really like the longer you're on the clock, the worse your chances are of winning. You pretty much have to close things out quickly if you're a slide deck or that you don't really benefit from the game dragging on. But for a mid-range deck, you're fine. It's not a big problem at all. I remember playing Pink Prison against Dead Guy Ale, just being completely dismantled. Like he just had answers for anytime I tried to set up the tax rack engine, and so I was never able to really get going, and just died a slow and painful death at the hands of with the wretches and hippies.
All right, so players are going to shuffle up as we start our final game of the evening. So
Dirty Joke Kearney says that good guy wins, and I would certainly have to agree that any deck not playing banned cards, is the good guy.
that's fair. That's very fair. Not at fault for Lanny. Like I said, we're not trying to pin anything on Lanny,
Yeah,
but we're propping up the Rock players.
exactly. It was kind of like a repeated joke whenever we were doing the band series. Our little group with myself, Flint, Phil Wynn, and Ron Taylor, Andy Culpepper. So like whenever there was like any scenario where like we didn't cut the deck, correctly or whatever, it's like, well, I'm already cheating,
Yeah,
That's
I know.
I don't benefit by cheating anymore.
Yeah. All right, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I mean, I don't know if Tom was aggressive in that last match, if that's the word I would use, since it was what like a Rager, a Ravenous Baloth, and a Call of the Herd token that like deals all the damage. But he certainly had a plethora of answers, I think, to the threats that Lanny had. So we'll see if that is a similar game plan. I mean, I guess his deck doesn't do as of some rock versions that I've seen. I guess the Lanny rock doesn't like curve out quite as well. Some have like the wall of roots that can accelerate like in a Baloth into a deranged hermit, and that's not an option in the Lanny rock version.
Yeah, Lanny just the Lanny Rock plays ultra fair. No ramp, no nothing. You're just trying to make sure your cards are as good as possible at all stages of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the complete opposite of Natural Order Rock.
A consistent game versus inconsistent but powerful.
Yep. I'm gonna like throw in all the ramp and the 4 birds, 4 wall roots and
Yeah.
everything versus 0. All right, and there is the first turn tax.
Yep, off a gemstone mine. So uh, even if Tom doesn't play, I guess if Tom played one land, Lanny could slowly deplete that gemstone mine.
Yeah. So, I mean, Tom can still have a naturalize in hand or something like that, and he might not be able to get off the ground. Or if he has a duress right here, that duress is probably like your best play at this point. That's your greatest chance of stopping, the engine of tax and rack.
All right. Looks like Tom is really mapping out how he's expecting these first few turns to play out. Yes, if you're worried that you're not able to remove the tax in the first few turns, that he's just. I mean, I guess unless he's just trying to think of the sequences or the Cabal therapy, I guess is probably what he's thinking. Probably that's probably more likely. Like, I mean, like I can't imagine that you're not able to play lands from this position.
All right,
Right?
no duress but a therapy, so that's almost as good.
Uh, I guess and this is one of the situations where it's like I don't know if you're more worried about Scroll Rack, if you're more worried about Oath of Druids. I guess if you have like a bunch of creatures in your hand and you're planning to attack a lot, then Oath of Druids has a lot more value. But if you expect the game to go long, I might be more worried about Scroll Rack. But if you have a card like Pernicious Steed, then I don't know. I don't know if that changes things.
Yeah, the reason I would, the ideal card would be duress is because, for me in this position, I'd want to, keep scroll rack from landing, and yeah, okay, it looks like he did name the rack, and there it is. But yeah, if Lanny had a Enlightened Tutor right there, um, then therapy wouldn't hit at all. But we do see Lanny does have the Oath, so he is able to play it this turn if he wants. It extends into Deed, it extends into Tranquil Domain, but it just depends. All right, so we see an Ivory Tower, which is, I think, a good play from Lanny right here. So he's planning on at least accumulating some life, and that will give him some breathing room. If things do go south for him and Tom starts beating down, at least Lanny will have time to reassemble.
All right, so Lanny will fetch. He's going to fail to find. Oh, is he? Yes, he's. That's the sequence here. He's failing to find with the Windswept Heath,
Mm-hmm.
and so that he can trigger
And
land
there's a
tax.
naturalize.
But yes, naturalize out of Tom will take advantage of that sequence.
So Lanny you run out Oath, but he's only going to have one land and only a black source. I don't think you necessarily do it here, but then that exposes Oath to the discard.
It might bite you the most time that like Oath is a card that really disincentivizes your opponent from pressuring you. So it might be something. Oh, okay, he's got a Windswept Heath.
Yeah, Windswept Teeth, that's a good right there. But yeah, Lanny decides not to run out Oath. But what happened to the swamp? Or is the swamp just face down?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
It's you don't know about that swamp. All right, so we got a Rager. Tom's ready to rage on.
And
So
Lanny lets the draw resolve, and we will see if, yep, immediately Cabal Therapy. Yep, taking the Oath. And Lanny's just gonna kind of spinning wheels here, which is exactly where you want Parfait. There's a lot of air in the Parfait deck,
yeah,
and that's true for most of the tax rack decks. If they don't have the engine going, they don't have much of a game plan.
and here's kind of the spot where I think Tom would like to start applying the pressure. I mean, like you've done all you. I feel like you really can. You've dismantled your opponent's hand. You've disrupted their engine, and here's kind of where you want to like try and start closing the door. You do know there's a Swords of Plowshares, but barring a discard spell, you're not going to get that out. So, see, call the herd.
I was just going to say, call the herd is what you want here, because that kind of solves this Swords of Plowshares problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see the fourth land from Tom. Lanny probably thinking about going to get a planes to send that elephant farming.
Yeah.
That's what I would probably guess. Oh, no, he's got an Enlightened Tutor.
Okay. Does this change? Are you, what could you? Oath of Druids.
Yep.
So at the cost of a draw step, and then using the last counter on the gemstone mine, Lanny's going to deploy an Oath of Druids, and if this goes unanswered, then depending on what Lanny hits, but I'm going to assume it's pretty potent, this could be problematic for Tom.
So a lot of stuff that Tom could have right here, but I'm guessing he doesn't actually. Otherwise, we'd see him kind of snapping it off. Probably doesn't have any Vendettas left in his deck to take out his own token. And if he had a therapy, I guess he would probably run out play a therapy pretty quickly. Coming for 3, you always do that.
All right.
There is another land.
Play is not obvious. He's
Now, what would probably be the best here is what he could do is if Lanny oaths into like into Ancestors Chosen, no Guy's Blessing, and then Tom has Haunting Echoes.
yeah.
Gets,
But that definitely relies on some amount of.
Oh, he's going to eat it himself.
Okay. So this game's going to go long since Tom's going to be using resources to kill his own creature.
All right.
I mean, it also could be something that, like, if Tom did have Haunting Echoes, maybe Tom just didn't want to chance him triggering Oath and thus getting the Guy's Blessing. But is this like a juicy enough Haunting Echoes position?
Yeah, I can't.
That I don't know. I don't know how patient you need to be because, like,
Tom keeps playing out lands, so he's not too worried about Armageddon or anything like that. And there's a Mox from Lanny, and he just passes it right back.
Okay, Tom has a Duress, which will see a Null and 2 Swords to Plowshares. And
okay.
I mean, I think I'd be taking the Null here because you really want to draw Pernicious Deed. And if that is the card, that would be okay. That's not here yet. I was say that would be a very easy time to deploy a Pernicious Deed.
We got a Scroll Rack going, so this is definitely Lanny's chance to get into it because next turn he can see 3 fresh cards looking for a land tax.
Yeah, it's still not the point where it's like super like insane because you're just kind of slowly accumulating cards. But yeah, certainly nice to exchange those sorts of plowshares. It protects yourself against like a card like Cabal Therapy where like his hand is no longer known for certain, and like now he's able to see different cards. So all right, so Tom applies no more pressure, and Lanny again gets the Scroll Rack. But 2 of those, I think, or is it one of those with Swords of Plowshares? I guess he put
both of them, at least 2 Swords of Plowshares he sees.
They might be split. Either way. All right, we got Guy's Blessing. Targeting the Annul. Looks like a land tax and another Oath. All right.
Makes sense.
I would say like the inlane tutor might be appealing in the spot, especially since you haven't already an oath in play.
Hmm.
And Blessing does a good job of replacing itself since it draws a card, but then also gets to shuffle his deck. So uh, since we're not on the full engine of tax, land tax plus scroll rack, this is um, a nice consolation prize, I think, for Lanny.
Hmm.
Yeah, chat has basically summarized what I just said, so they were probably typing that out as I was saying it. So
Yeah. What deck do you guys think is favored like the longer the game goes on? Because typically I think of Rock, as being the deck where, yeah, the longer the games go, the more favored it is. But I wonder if that's true in this situation.
um, I don't know if that's necessarily true here. Like, I mean, the parfait can just do some really disruptive things, like being able to like get Armageddon or just like it. I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like they're both. Well, the rock is very reactive to what the parfait deck is doing, but it has a card like Pernicious Deed that is often like super good. But there are certainly spots where like the Burning Oath or the Burning Parfait can just like really flip that position around. Like so, I'm not sure
Yeah.
who I think is better positioned in a really long game.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that Tom is playing out his lands here, although we do see two lands in his hand. So that
All
makes
right,
sense with.
the duress that's deployed took a Cabal Therapy shows Ravenous Baloth, Corrosion Tusker, and two lands.
There's the land tax.
Okay, so I'm just gonna cycle a Corrosion Tusker. He really would like a Pernicious Deed.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see though, like how quickly things turn around. If this board state is not answered immediately, how quickly Lanny will pull ahead.
Yeah, I think Tom probably has two draw steps here because if Lanny gets off one tax, that's not the end of the world if he's not able to really do anything with it. Um, but then once there's two tax activations, that's going up six cards, and
Lanny beating his hands in anticipation of what might come. Uh, there was the draw from the cycling, and then the actual draw from Tom for his draw step. Lanny just he's ready to land tax. He says it is April 15th and taxes are due.
all right. So again, no slamming of the cards from Tom right here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an indication of that he actually has an option of. I'm trying to think what other cards would provide him some flexibility. I mean, a um a Wall of Blossoms or a Phyrexian Rager could give you a buy, but like at a new card, but at the cost of triggering Oath, which is pretty risky. I guess you have the Cabal Therapy, um, so that wouldn't be so risky.
Lanny is definitely a showman right here. Aaron was pointing that out in the chat.
I was picking up this Dust Bowl. What does that mean?
It's a little late to be dust bowling your own lands to get under
Yeah.
the tax. All right, looks like we got a message. Just say Lanny thinks that Tom has haunting echoes and he's trolling him
That would
right
be
here.
a fun little slow roll. I appreciate that'd be a little showmanship from Tom's perspective. Um, Never let him know your next move, I guess. Yeah, I was like, I would say like, is Tom trying to destroy his? Oh, that doesn't do anything. Like you're not getting under this land tax. I don't know if these two, one and a black. What would that indicate? Oh, now we got 4 mana.
Is he going to run out 2 Balos? I don't see how that does what he wants, but
Um, oh, we got
okay. He's making an elephant.
all the herd. Are we flashing this back at this point?
That's what it looks like. Is he just and me using that to therapy?
This is kind of a feeble attempt at things with the scroll rack active and the land tax going to trigger. I'm not sure what Tom is trying to clear the way, or if he's just feeling like this is the only time he's going to be able to
Or
do this.
if he gets Lanny tapped out, so there's no possibility of a null.
Okay.
So he
Yeah,
has he's slow
land
rolling
pernicious
pernicious speed. If he's slow rolling,
Wow.
slow rolled. He did it. He tapped out Lanny.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about slow rolling, and I don't know if that was quite the slow roll because that was Tom trying to navigate a position to get the highest likelihood of him resolving that pernicious deed. So I won't call that a slow roll because there was definitely an advantage of doing it that way. But yeah, that was a very well played thing where I think most people would just fire off the pernicious deed.
That was just a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
Right there, setting that up perfectly. That's probably the best play that we're going to see out of the PSS.
Yeah, that was very well done, very well calculated. There's still sorts of plowshares that that Lanny has to stem the bleeding, but we'll see how quickly Tom is trying to shut the door here.
I'm just proud of myself that I thought about what Tom was doing. I wouldn't have been able to make that play myself, but that's why I'm slamming turn 3 Verdant Forces instead of trying to play Lanny Rock.
Different strokes for different
I need an easy button.
Yeah. All right. So the bleeding has been stemmed with the second source of plowshares, but Lanny's at pretty much square zero, where Tom has a lot of resources.
I mean, that was Lanny didn't get a single tax activation out. It took out a Mox Diamond, so that's already 2, and then tax, rack, and oath. So that was a 5 for 1.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's been a lot of draw going here, so this is kind of like, again, we talk about the criticisms of the rock deck. Man, is there only one Croatian Tusker? This would be just a great opportunity for the 6/5 to come into play, but I think he's already been cycled. So,
and no recurring nightmares in Lanny Rock, correct?
There's definitely one in the sideboard. I thought there was one in the main, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
We see a treetop finally show up. This card would have been a lot better if it was here 5 turns ago. I'm not going to complain if I'm Tom, but
treetop is just so good against oath, and there's the third plow right there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess also we're just talking about creatures, but here like Haunting Echoes would be wonderful from Tom's perspective.
Yep. And Lanny, I mean, can't cast any of his green or red spells. He's very, very limited in what he can do.
I mean, he's done a pretty good job of resisting given what he's been thrown at. Like the 3 swords of plowshares, but yeah, Tom has a lot of live draws. We see a deed, a naturalize, a deed, 3 deeds, just 3 deeds.
Just all deeds.
2 swamps and a naturalize off the duress. So
Gabe Farkas just came back into chat. So Gabe, you'll just have to go back. You'll have to go back to game 3 of this to be able to really witness it. So it was a beautiful, beautiful line.
Is one of these cards, do you take the naturalize or do you just start chipping away at Pernicious Steed? I think I would just take the naturalize, but I don't know. Maybe it's
it's so hard to say at this point because like you could say, oh, take the naturalized because Pernicious Deed forces him to spend more mana, but
But that's not an
that's not
issue.
an issue.
But also,
No.
Lanny can. I don't know if it matters here, but it might come up. Lanny's going to consider and try to map things out how, because there's no Cabal therapy in the sideboard of Lanny, right? That would be tight for him to Burning Wish for Cabal therapy and name Pernicious Seed, but I don't think that's an option for Lanny.
Yeah. Tom just needs one creature, really one creature. That's it.
Or Haunting Echoes.
Yeah, Honey Echoes would probably do it too. Then, Lanny's on the hard cast of Chroma, line from
Yeah.
3 lands.
But at that point, Tom has the Pernicious Steed with 8 mana that could respond. So I don't even know if that'll get him there.
Nope. Not good enough. Not good enough, Lanny. See, this is a situation where you kind of just explain that your opponent has no outs and that they should just concede. But
I mean, it's
about,
I'll say
everyone saying, they should concede to Parfait when they're kind of locked out. Oh, how the tables have turned.
Shad has said, "What's the most anyone has deeded for?" Oh man, I'm trying to think.
I deeded for 7 before. What was it? Or no, I got deeded for 7. And
Okay.
my opponent, because I was on natural order rock. He was on standard rock, and he was facing down lethal, deeded for 7, and didn't realize that both Verdant Force and Symbiotic Worm were casting cost 8.
Okay.
So he's like, "Oh, they are." Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I feel like I might have deeded for 8, but I can't think of the situation. But I don't know. I've cast a lot of Pernicious Deeds, so
that you have a few more than I have. I definitely have cast more Pernicious Deeds in the last year than I did in my first 3 years of Premodern.
chat saying I've deeded away Eternal Dragon. I think we've seen that in the last PSS. So
well, of course, yeah. Dirtleduck did that. It's like you would.
All right, Deed comes out. I guess the selection was Deed. That was the choice that Lanny ultimately figured was best.
Running out the Deed totally makes sense, because that is not a card that Parfait needs to deal with Deed.
Mm-hmm. Does a very good job of disrupting the engine that it tries to set up. So
yeah, there's really no way that Parfait can win with a threatening Deed. I'm surprised that we didn't see it run out before.
It really just opens up the opportunity for Seal Cleansing to come into play, I think. And if Lanny, once Lanny knows about it, then obviously you just play it.
Yeah.
But I guess the disadvantage is Annul and Duress. I'll say Mana Leak, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you're too worried about that one
anymore. Tom is worried, should be worried about Armageddon here, though. He's got a lot of lands out, and Lanny is 1 land away.
Yeah, I would say a red source and a Burning Wish. That definitely is, because there's
a Mox Diamond, and here's a Burning Wish.
Okay. Is this a spot where you get Armageddon and hope that does Tom have a Cabal therapy in the graveyard?
I don't think so. I think the one that he flashbacked was he flashbacked one from Call of the Herd. I'm not sure if the one behind the first Deed is a therapy, but I don't remember. I think that's an Edict, because the Edict did his own elephant.
So Deep Analysis is a choice. That could be an indication that the Armageddon is in the main deck, or maybe Lanny's trying to rebuild just from this position.
Yeah. So does Lanny only run one Armageddon in the 75?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes. Oh, just that one. That's normally in the sideboard, but could be either way.
All right. And here's the therapy. And it looks like, yeah, whatever name missed.
Yeah, I mean,
Just wonder.
I think I might name Armageddon in that spot.
Yeah. Oh, he named Wish. Burning Wish.
Yeah. Also, I think should the Burning Wish be exiled from? Is it exiled? Where I guess it has to be. It's not on the graveyard. I don't know where the exile zone for Lanny is, but he named Burning Wish in that spot. I guess that kind of makes sense, thinking that you have a bunch of Burning Wishes and you just drew the Mox Diamond. I mean, it's kind of wild in some sense to think that Tom got all that card advantage from that Pernicious Deed and pretty much has done nothing since then. Like, he's applied, I guess he put the Balos and the Treetop Villages, but those got answered. And since then, he hasn't really done anything. All right, here's a Call of the Herd. And I would think I would flash it back. Well, I guess so. One thing to note is Tom had the option of just using a deed for 0 for the Mox Diamond before doing. You would want to do that before the Call of Herd. He still has a Naturalize in his hand if he just wants to get rid of that, which I think you would want to, right?
Yeah. So I think if Lanny starts by running out Deed, or excuse me, Lanny runs out Oath, then you naturalize it, and then you would deed away the second Oath. So right now,
Well, I mean, you could take a more risky line and naturalize the Mox, and then
true.
Currently, then like Lanny wouldn't have a way to cast Oath, but
Yeah.
I mean, I might have used a deed in my hand to blow up the Mox, and then have the naturalize in case he does draw a green source. I think I would have done that in that spot.
I like that. I like that play a lot.
Because you still have a deed in your hand, and then you're still covered against like a land, and then the Mox and the Oath. I guess the problem is if he has one Oath, then he kind of has 2, but you're attacking for 6 that you might just be able to.
Here's the other question. What is Lanny oathing into right now?
I was say like two of the creatures in his hand.
He only really has Iridescent Angel or
you can't expect Shard Phoenix to be in the deck at this point.
Or the Shard Phoenix. You can't expect that. So right now, Lanny can only run out 1 Oath per turn. So that's 6 damage on this next turn plus the naturalize. He plays the second one. We're coming in for 12 damage. Okay, he gets the second Oath out. He gets 1 creature which can only block 1. That's 15 damage.
Yeah.
So Tom, I think, barring something else from Lanny, I think he has this in the bag. Yep. Tom says Lanny is in the tank, and I believe it. He doesn't have many options left for him.
Yeah, I guess Gabe has noted in chat, like, Tom did have the option of flashing back the Ball Therapy and naming Oath in that spot.
True, he did.
Getting rid of a problem card, and then you significantly cut your clock down. But we see turn is passed. There is a land tax and an Oath deployed.
Now this is where he
just draws Haunting Echoes. Yeah, it's like, this didn't matter. I'll just use my deed and then I'll just get rid of everything. Right. So really,
Tap in 3 for a Rager. Yep.
okay.
So now you can naturalize and flashback therapy. Seems pretty good to me.
Does the land tax activation cause issues? Not really.
Yeah, because he doesn't have scroll rack to be able to get it going. Lanny's able to ramp up 2 mana next time, but how much does Ancestors Chosen cast on
7.
the hard cast?
5 white.
7.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Right. Another Rager has joined. So
There's the naturalize.
okay. It'd also be interesting here. Like here, you could sack a. Well, okay. I mean, you don't really want to get rid of lethal, but if you really want to take a conservative route, you could sack a token to get rid of like Oath of Druids, and then deed for 1 and keep your Ragers around.
Yep.
But was there
Okay,
a second
that's
naturalize?
Yeah, second naturalize. I don't see a way out for Lanny.
I don't know if I would use it on a land text though. I mean, isn't the Mox Diamond almost better? I guess if land text triggers, then a Mox Diamond in his hand is activated, so that doesn't matter. All right, Lanny's gonna draw 2 cards. He's gonna tap out. He does have a Mox Diamond, but I can't think of a card that would equalize from this position. And Lanny shows some lands that he's drawn.
Just lands.
And in a very exciting match, looks like Tom is able to take it down.
Yep.
Lanny Rock has just defeated the creator. And yeah, that was awesome. So let's jump in and listen into our players. I'm sure they have a lot of things to say about this match, as there was a lot to it. So,
yep. Wow.
I hope we're unmuted because you are my hero. You built monsters. You did this to yourself. Absolutely insane. Wow. And you played exceptional. So.
I mean, I really wish you didn't draw a pernicious deed. That would have been sick. That would have been a good. That would have been a good thing for me for you to not hit deed in 2.
It's true.
Ugh, I should have taken naturalize. I should have taken stupid naturalize that turn. I didn't. My brain couldn't put together that deed was just gonna be. I was gonna try to brute force through the deeds, but naturalize is just better.
I know. You cut my deck too. I said I drew 3 deeds in a row. So I mean, but
Yeah, I told Tom he could cut the deck however he wanted, and then I was like, well, I'm not gonna choose middle because middle's where the deeds are gonna be, and then I chose pile 1. Pile 1 actually had all the deeds.
I specifically said, I was like, Lanny, you're picking which one goes on top.
Man, why did I have to make stupid rock so stupid?
No, I don't know why you did that.
I had not predicted that in making the rock deck very good that they would come around to bite me in this way.
I mean, the games were cutthroat. Like we were quiet, and game 3 got so intense. I think we just.
Well, I badgered him because I was gonna win the turn. If I got that tax trigger. So after I played the land tax, I was like, okay, Tom, don't draw the deed, or I win the game. And he drew the deed.
All right, if we're on that turn, Tom, do you want to walk us through? Because I mean, I'm not saying it's a simple line that you took, but it took you a while to get to that point. Can you walk us through kind of what you were thinking there?
Was the D turn?
Yeah,
the therapy.
Therapy into deed.
Yeah, I had just enough mana to. So he shuffled back in the annul, and I've seen, sometimes the math's not in your favor, and that's how I just felt. I had a feeling he didn't have it, but I just straight up lose to a null.
Well, yeah, that's a spot where you're getting so much advantage from resolving that pernicious deed that like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I had to play around a null. At least it felt right. Like I had the 2 bailouts in hand, so the Call of the Herd was just fodder for the therapy, which worked out perfectly. And having like that's why. So I knew he has Burning Wish for Armageddon, but I had to like keep. Like, if I was not playing my lands, I would like that. It was a perfect example. I would have been cornered. So I just had to basically play around him not drawing Burning Wish for Armageddon. Like it would just kill me. But then I also felt like if I don't start playing my lands, like I can't have these big turns. Like,
Yeah, I was short. I didn't have enough lands to put together a Wish for Armageddon, and I didn't want to string it. I had 2 Mox Diamonds in my hand, so I didn't want to try to string together a turn with Wish for Armageddon over 2 turns, because any creature would have just therapied it out. So that's why I got the deep analysis, to at least put pressure on Tom to like do something. Like he'd like blow up my Mox, I could deep and then deep again, but he just turned the corner super fast, and that was it was too good.
I was actually kind of surprised. Like after that initial turn, it was like Baloth, which those got removed. A Treetop Village showed up somewhat early, and you got rid of that, and then Tom then just there're just no threats. You were just drawing all those deeds or whatnot, and we're like,
yeah,
all right, well, like maybe there's a chance that Lanny like comes back from the spot. Like I was surprised how like you just that whole match. I think you drew 1 Treetop Village, and just you. I don't know if it is the density of your deck or just how the draws lined up, but like you're not very well to pressure him.
Putting a bunch of good cards in the rock made it a lot better in the matchup where we both have to draw out. And my deck is like a 4-card combo synergy deck that gets answered by like, I think if anything like this, when I kept on saying that the rock beats parfait, like for what it's worth, like plenty of ways that I win that game for sure, but like the fact that like Tom's deck is just like a good average of like shitter draw card, like just made it so great in that situation. And like I needed him to flood out. Like if he didn't flood out, like you're saying, if he drew a second Treetop Village, I would have just lost the game. If anything, like if anything different happened, like the fact that game lasted so long was mostly just a result of like Tom's bad luck. I mean, he had really, really good luck to look at 2 cards and hit the deed, but after that, like the fact that I had a shot was just kind of bad luck for him. But
you did not draw well. Like when we saw like the hands, you had your 2 oath targets.
Yeah, but that's because my deck is like it only has 12 relevant cards. Like in that situation, the only outs that I have, right, are Burning Wish and lands, so that I can like Burning Wish for get in, and try to put something together, like Burning Wish for deep analysis, and then like whatever. I mean, I kind of needed to see my duresses like slightly more often, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool. I built the rock deck. I was like, rock deck is super good. And I built a parfait deck, and I was like, parfait deck is super good. Can parfait deck be angled to beat rock? And the reason that I'm playing Burning Wish is to just give me more game in the mid-range matchups that like are generally good against parfait. But it didn't work because it did not trigger land tax in game 2 and 3. I need to do that. That's like central to the game plan. But yeah, I can't be sad about Tom demonstrating that tax was not too powerful to be banned, and that I'm a genius. And
let's get Martin Berlin on the line, and we will erase.
Just show him the tape. Just show him the tape. I did everything I could.
Hold on,
I can't.
I'm trying to find what someone said. Just need 8 discard, 4 deed, and 5 to 6 disenchant, and you too can be okay against Parfait.
Those are just good cards, man. You're just like naming cards that are good. Like, if you have a bunch of, if your deck is full of bad cards, your deck is going to be defeated by the deck that is full of great cards.
Oh.
And in fact, my deck full of great cards. The weakness is is decks that are full of good cards or medium cards. But
you were just saying your deck was full of air.
well, it's full of air, but like I don't know, the air is like gas when I draw 5 cards a turn. Like all of a sudden the air starts being less airy.
I would argue that your deck is full of bad cards that work well together.
I mean, that's fine. I'm okay with that analysis. My favorite card, Mox Diamond, does not look very good in the face of one single pernicious deed or 4.
We counted that up. It was a 6-for-1 deed.
Oh yeah, that's
pretty disgusting.
I mean, just thus okay. I guess it is only poetic irony that I duressed the rock player and then committed, and then they top decked out of it. Like,
well, I cycled Barrenmore, and Lenny goes, "Why did I put good cards in that deck?"
Yeah, he's like I like 10 lands in play, and he's just like cycling Barrymore. That happens to me. When I play test against the Rock all the time. Every single time they cycle Barrymore, I'm just like, Barrymore is so good. Like what? Like that would have just been a land.
Two things. So game 1 though, Lanny, your deck is a work of art. Honestly, like it's such a nice deck to look at and see in action. Like it's like it plays Burning Wish. It's cool. However, we got to see the nonsense in game 1. Okay, and then like I don't know. I was ready. I was gonna scoop for like 2 turns, but I was like, all right, he's got echoes. Like I'm dead. But I was like, let's just see it a little longer because it's luckily we don't have to see this again. And then game 3 though, I want to point that out. The Rager tech. You got to just see Rager late game do its thing. Like it just, I got so far ahead at that point too. Not that you were gonna probably catch up, like I was already ahead, but you saw Rager just like kind of spiral the game out of control.
Yeah, no, I mean it was just a great turn. Like he plays Rager. Obviously it's just more therapy food, but the fact that it's just another Wall Blossoms gives him like my hand was Plow and Oath. I can Plow the Rager to protect the Oath. But then the Cabal Therapy is just kind of like sitting there threatening me the entire time, and I'm just like plowing a Rager is like so bad. So I think maybe that was a misplay on my part, because I was like too in my head about losing value to the Rager instead of losing value to the Therapy, because I was going to lose value no matter what, but I just kind of figured, like my Plow was going to be stronger than Oath because like Oath gets swept up by Deed, and Oath doesn't actually like do anything, because Tom's not going to play into Oath because he knows he loses if I trigger Oath one time. So all like from that point on, Tom still basically just didn't play any creatures, like for the following turn. So conserving the Plow, I feel like wasn't too big of a deal, because like the Oath, the Oath just trades 1 for 1 for Naturalize, and then Tom can commit to the board and then start killing me anyways. So unless like if I had him on the read that he just like wouldn't draw a Naturalize or Pernicious Deed or Tranquil Domain for like 5 turns, maybe that would have changed things. But yeah, that game was super cool. I think the Haunting Echoes was super cool. The fact that I could Haunting Echoes and then like I knew that he could discard my Haunting Echo, so the fact that I could hide it with the rack was just amazing. Yeah, I had 1 Oath target left in my deck. I had 1 Iridescent Angel. It actually wouldn't have saved me. He would have just attacked past it twice. So I would have needed to like go get Zern or Burning Wish for Devastating Dreams from that spot. And even that would have been pretty mid, because I would have just like Devastating Dreams like Tom from 12 lands down to 8, and then I would have 0 lands and 0 Mox Diamonds and 0 anything to the Deeds. So yeah, it was pretty bad from that spot. Maybe I could have wished for Armageddon or tried to send a Wish for Armageddon and like force Tom to start panicking, at least like start throwing away value, but the lands just didn't come. and I didn't have my basic mountain or basic forest. Like, if I don't trigger land tax to get all that stuff rolled up, the Dust Bowl and the deeds meant that I could never keep a 5-color source on the table for longer than one turn. So all of my undiscovered paradises, gemstone mines, and mox diamonds become just really bad lotus petals. So that was too bad. But I'm happy for my friend Tom. He gets to run away with he gets to cakewalk his way into the PSS top 4, and the rest of us have to fight for our lives out here.
I wouldn't say that. I'm you're nervous every week going in. I don't know. The one thing I love about PSS though is just I like seeing random deck versus random deck. It's just so cool, and because there's like so many decks in Premodern, and like it's pretty diverse, the decks that we all brought. So,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have banned the Rock. I guess I could have like banned. I would have banned the Rock because I can ban the Rock. You ban Tog. So if I ban the Rock and you ban Tog, I have to play Replenish into two mad matchups or Parfait into two mad matchups. Actually, I would have been screwed in pick ban. So this is like the best I could have hoped for. But yeah, 2 random decks, randomly designed by Lanny Huang. It's randomly great decks, no matter what happens. I'm so bad. Like, I have such a I do this all the time. I'm like Itai getting second place at LobsterCon. I'm like, oh, well, I built his deck. It's like Fran built 90% of his deck.
Yeah.
Like Tom won the monthly final. I built this deck. At least I built this deck. Like nobody gives a shit. I'm just saying.
It's called Lanny Rock. I don't know. Like
I do have to say that was a lucky turn of branding that Mike started pushing, and eventually Mike and Tom started pushing.
If it makes you feel better, Lanny, I have a long history of giving Flint ideas and him winning a lot more than I do with them.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the screenshot of be like, hey, what if we had like a Hermit Druid deck which transformed into Stifle Knot? If I didn't have a screenshot of that, no one would believe me.
Oh man. I mean, yeah.
When I mentioned Toy, I was playing like I said I was like, it's the creation versus the creator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna like tell you all this afterwards.
I'm just like Voldemort. I'm just like the boy who lived, come to die, and then I just get killed, and then I just get slayed. And I am Voldemort because I was playing land tax. So it's just like, it's just perfect. But no. I mean, sick games. Despite the fact that Tom and I work together on all this stuff, we don't actually play too many matches against each other. So. It's really awesome, and I think Tom got a little butthurt that I didn't say that he was as good as Rich Shea at Magic, and so I think he took that personally.
He's doing his best to ascend.
Yeah, he's just like I'll show you.
No, Lanny said something that went off on him.
Rich Shea,
but I was like, no, but Rich is better than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a pretty safe statement to make, but no, I mean, we all know that Tom's crazy. We're just doing it for the content. I'm just stirring the pot. I'm just saying controversial stuff just to get a rise. I'm just like out there. Don't believe anything that I say. I mean, I know I know the audience knows not to listen to Flores about anything, but I'm slowly becoming somebody that you should just ignore everything I say, and you just be like better off, because. I think you just start, people start listening to you, and you just start saying crazier and crazier stuff just to see what you can get away with. And then, first I was just like, oh, you guys should add Phyrexian Rager to the Rock. And I'm like, oh my God, they believe me. Everyone believed me. I'm like, what can I do next?
I think, is Rock undefeated in the PSS?
No, because Tom
okay.
lost to Goblins with the Rock.
That's true.
Yeah, I did some weird shenanigans.
So it's 3-1 now?
Yep, Thomas 3-1 with his sweet Rock deck catching 2 wins. The Rock caught 2 wins in the PSS2 so far, so at least in Tom's hands, it's a minimum 50.
Yeah, Tom's 3-1, but did Jared win his Rock match?
He played against Goblins and won, I think.
Yeah, he defeated the Goblins last week.
So Rock is now 3-1.
And then Secret Force defeated Ponzerati's. which is also pretty sweet. Just draw basic lands. That's the secret we'd been. That's the secret tech that I miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Rock is. I mean, I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about how good the Rock is doing. I probably would have lost if I picked my Psychotalk deck anyways. I would have won if I picked Replenish though. But
Will Flores stop calling Rock a bad deck if
No.
Rock goes X1 in
No.
PSS?
No, he got second place in the side event with the deck. He's not gonna say if that didn't no. He's wait. You know who you're talking about, right? Let's just it's for the memes. But yeah, I mean, Tom's also hyped up. He got his playoff win in our online single elimination thing with the Rock, yeah, I mean, he's a maestro. He's just like the black mid-range master. He's just like all his therapies hit. He's got like good planning, good micromanagement. It's kind of fun because like watching Tom play powerful decks is kind of boring because he'll just win if the deck is powerful. But watching him play a deck that's not very powerful it's like, you know, so sorry. I'm starting to like think about these really small things that happen in the game. I made a few plays in the match. Very simple one. I played my land tax. I played my land tax with a fetch land, right? So I have 2 lands. Tom has 2 lands. I don't know why I fetched. In fact, I probably lost the game, right? Because if I just fetched for a real land instead of fetched to try to trigger tax, then I would have had like, or just conserved my Windswept Teeth or whatever. Like I would have just like had this Windswept Teeth, which maybe could have gotten a forest later in the game, which would maybe could have like made it easier for me to cast Oaths because I actually had to kill my Gemstone Mine once. Okay, I can't believe it, but I lost the game on turn 2 because I fetched to fail to find to try to trigger tax, even though I knew Tom was smart enough that like if he didn't like he had the naturalize, right? So he naturalized and then I didn't get a trigger tax and I just stone rained myself for nothing. So that play actually like ripple affected down the entire thing because I just like didn't have access to basic forest for the whole game. Like my mana was awkward. My gemstone mine went down a turn early. I couldn't burning wish. Like who knows? Maybe I could have had like a mine with 1 counter on it later in the game to just like help with the crucial turn. So like all of this just kind of ripple affected, all because I thought that Tom was dumb enough to play a second land without having the naturalize with 4 in his deck. But that's like the kind of the that's just kind of thing. It's like I shouldn't have thought that Tom was bad enough to let me trigger land tax. Like he knows better. I know that he knows better. And I try to catch him in a blunder, and he just like completely annihilated it for me. And that was that's like a 0 for 1. That's how the Rock wins, man. You just like get the pawn advantage in the early game, and then so I'm blown away by this. Is anybody else blown away by this? I feel like I'm blown away by this. Are you blown away by this, Tom?
I mean, I was a little disappointed. Like I had a feeling you were going to play Parfait against me.
Yeah.
You know, I like actually really dislike it, but no, I mean, I enjoy listening to you talk because you know what you're talking about, and yeah, even when you were playing out the match, I was like, you know, I enjoy watching you play it. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'm happy to have given the audience, you know, given land tax a proper send off. So you know that's sweet, and maybe I play it as my bonus third deck, and Rich and I just give the people what they want: a Parfait Mirror as the very last match of the PSS regular series.
It's got to be nice from 80 years from now. Next generation can look at these land tax games.
And they're like, why did anybody play this garbage? This looks awful. It's freaking Magic the Gathering, like pre-modern. We're already in, I don't know, standard 3000.
Yeah.
With our equipment planeswalkers, I don't know, anything I say is like not like it doesn't even sound crazy. Like equipment planeswalker, they could just print that next week. Like
that's true.
Like, well, love you guys as always. Thanks for
a great match. Job well done to both of you. Congratulations, Tom.
Thanks. Good game planning.
And technically, we're out 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
So that's kind of. So we ended at 10:10. So we kind of went. What did we do? We did like an hour and 10. Or did we start early? We started early.
Yeah. I mean, we were just talking for 15 or 20 minutes right here, anyways. So
it's okay.
The timing was fine. don't worry about that. The people are entertained, and that's all we need. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
All right, no, thank you, Lenny.
You got to stop winning
Thanks,
when
guys.
it's me across the table, but
right.
I'll forgive you.
We'll let players go, and Mike and I will wrap things up. So,
see you guys.
All right. Good night.
All right, Mike. So we're at the end of our week 4. We are going to have to figure out when you and Rich are going to be able to play for that makeup match. I'll keep everyone informed with those details once we learn more information. But yeah, we had a fun one tonight. The games were all. I'm trying to think. I'm forgetting a match now already. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they were all really interesting.
Red,
a lot of red. You know? Like Panza and Goblins and Sly, and then yeah, that last matchup. Those were all really interesting. So, Chad is saying you're looking like a villain given the lighting that you have right now.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm shining my. I didn't want to get up and redo my lighting, but I have my iPad just kind of shining on me.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for being in the booth here with me for that last game. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, we will wrap things up for this week, and we'll keep you posted on how things are going to progress. But we will see you at the latest by next week with our 5th week. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
Rich's fever breaks, and we're able to get our match in.
So someone has asked, hello, I know that you are all leaving, but do you have any tips for someone getting into pre-modern? One, I guess if you're more familiar with modern Magic, contemporary Magic, I would find a deck and just start playing it, because there are certain things in terms of like that the games are just like tempo is different and card advantage is different and like the way games play out is different. But yeah, in terms of resources, yeah, tcdex.net has a bunch of lists. You can look to different channels, have a lot of content in terms of footage or gameplay. I Play Magic, I think it does a good job of giving you a very digestible like intro about a deck, and you can kind of figure out what things appeal to you. But yeah, the pre-modcast will pretty much go through, and especially if there's a deck that you want to learn about, that'll go through stuff. But there's tons of resources. Do you have any other suggestions?
So I'm reiterating what Chat's saying. Phil Wynn's introduction to Premodern is like gold. It's such good information right there, very condensed, very concise. And also join the Discord. Everyone is going to come in with some different goals with what they want out of Premodern. And the people in the Discord are very invested into the format, and they can kind of help you find your way, kind of guide you to decks that you might enjoy already, and just kind of see, are you looking in to get in as something that is kind of a competitive outlet, but you don't have to keep up every single day with changes in the metagame, or you're looking to just kind of jam some old kitchen table type of games. There's huge differences in people's goals with the format, and the Discord will help you find like-minded people.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, kind of what are your goals? What do you want to get out of the format? Because there are different options. Do you just want to dip your toe in and have some fun? Then it's real easy to then just figure out what deck you want to play with and then just play. If you just want to get way into the weeds, then there are some ways for you to do that. People in the Discord, you'll find the right people and they'll help you down that path. But it kind of depends on how you want to play the game, how you want to approach it, or if you're just looking to consume content or whatever. There's plenty of that stuff too. So yeah, so that's great. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in and chatting. I had a lot of fun. But until next time, take care.
All right. Have a good night.